Welcome to the Daytona Beach Real Estate Insider, powered by the Daytona Beach Area Association of Realtors. Whether you're a real estate agent or just interested in our local real estate market, we hope this podcast provides value to you. We explore how our local association supports its members and share key tips for navigating Volusia and Flagler County real estate. Stick with us for the next few minutes. You won't want to miss it.
Hi everybody, I'm Kristin. I am your current president of the Daytona Beach Area Association of Realtors, and I have a super guest on today. I'm really excited, but I do want to say one thing. Michael, a lot of people misspell my name all the time.
I knew you were going to say,
sure
how do you say your last name?
Let's do it.
I always just joke around. I always knew it was me being called when it was Mike and there was a pause.
Yeah.
So it's Chiocchetti.
Chiocchetti.
Yeah,
Michael
super easy.
Chiocchetti, okay.
Just think like Chuck Eddie.
Yeah, I was chawing myself.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on our podcast today. We're going to be talking a lot about insurance, I think. But just to give a little background for the audience, you've been an attorney since 2003?
That's correct.
Yep.
So I went to middle school, high school in Daytona, came back, graduated law school in 2003, and moved back home.
And that was at Stetson, right?
So I went to Florida.
Oh, okay.
So Mainland High School, Lourdes, Mainland, Florida undergrad,
okay.
And then Stetson for my JD and my MBA.
And your MBA, yeah. So that's funny. I heard you were a Florida State fan.
Yeah.
I was just waiting to get that. Everybody told me, make sure you say that. Anyway, yeah, I'm a Florida Gator myself, so congratulations.
Okay,
yeah, we're a good shop there. You know, I love Gainesville.
I didn't know it was going to be hostile in here.
No, not at all. Not at all. That was it. That was my only one. You know, so your practice focuses on property insurance claim, personal injury, and construction litigation, which is interesting to me, but exclusively on representing property owners on insurance claims. Is that not correct?
And you're probably going to ask, how did you pick this kind of unique practice area?
Right, absolutely.
Which it is. There's only, there's some attorneys that'll do them as a one-off, but there's really only maybe 20, 30 law firms in the state of Florida that specialize in this practice area like we do. What we do is we represent property owners who are in a dispute with their insurance company. And
so that was going to be a question of mine. I mean, why would I call you?
Sure.
So in your experience, like what is the most common thing that all of a sudden you're getting the phone call about, especially lately?
And of course, like an attorney, I'm going to say, I'll answer that question, but let me say something else first, and then we'll get to it.
I always wanted to be an attorney.
Because you probably want to know, why did I start doing this?
Yeah.
And I think, it's kind of compelling, right? Everyone has their path in life, and how do you get there? And so I grew up here in Daytona. My family had a motel on the beach, the Monte Carlo. If you remember that, it was it was the site where the Hard Rock was supposed to go, right? The original Hard Rock. And in '99, when I was in my senior year at Florida, Hurricane Irene came through Daytona. If you remember the famous video of the pier going into the ocean, and the pier ended up in my family's backyard. And so I was taking my LSATs, applying to law school at that time, and my parents are dealing with this insurance claim. And eventually, they had to hire a public adjuster, hire an attorney, and they went through 3 years until that claim was resolved in their favor. So literally, I was applying to law school when we got hit with the hurricane. I was graduating from law school when we were paid. And so that, of course, put me on the path of why I'm here today.
Yeah.
And so I moved back to Daytona. The first firm that I worked for represented the Department of Insurance. And so I thought that was a good segue, be on the regulatory side of the industry, and then eventually make my way to representing property owners. Along the way, I started representing Citizens Property Insurance, State Farm, and other insurance carriers. And did some, represented the school board and several of the municipalities around here, Ponce Inlet, Edgewater, New Smyrna. And ultimately in 2011, we got the Citizens contract, and then ran my 5 years with Citizens. In 2016, flipped sides, representing property owners.
Okay.
And so now you ask the question of why hire? And really those fall into two veins, right? Sometimes there's already a dispute with the insurance company, and what else can you do at that point, right? You hire an attorney, and your attorney has to perfect your claim, present it. Hopefully you don't go to trial, but sometimes you have to go to trial. That's where there's already a dispute. There's also times, and I do this for a number of commercial property owners, where they own multiple hotels, multiple commercial properties. They don't have the time or the expertise or the personnel to deal with an insurance claim.
Right.
And so really they just hire us to be the liaison between them and the insurance company. And so there it's clearly not adversarial. And
makes it a lot easier on everybody, right?
It makes it easier on the business.
Takes the pressure off of the person too.
It does. And and so I don't want to name who my clients are here locally, but there's a number of hotel groups and commercial real estate investors that sing our praises because they don't know what's covered under their insurance policy. And I think you would think it's an adversarial thing because, here I have this lawyer and the lawyer is representing me. In fact, I'd make the argument that it's perhaps smoother because I know what's covered under an insurance policy and what's not covered. And so I'm explaining that to the client rather than the insurance company adjuster explaining it and the client not having this independent advice.
Right, and you don't have the emotion maybe that the client would have as well, so you can deal in the facts there. But that's an interesting statement to me because I do know someone who's working in your office, and they recently said to me, I had no idea, read your policy. It's kind of like read the contract before you sign it. And so that's something I wanted to ask you just as an owner, I'm talking about individual property owners and everything. What should they be looking for in their policy that we don't look for?
I brought you one of our notorious mugs that say know your policy limits. And that's a great statement because most folks, when I speak with them, they spend all of this money on an insurance policy and they don't know what is actually being covered. And, is that a failure of the agent? Is it a failure of the person buying the coverage? I don't know, but I think a lot of times folks are buying insurance policies and they're not asking their agent, what am I covered for? Or coverages change over time, they're reduced, and there's never that notice to the insured. We get calls all the time, especially this last event that had a lot of flood. Hey, I had flood insurance previously. I called it in. I thought I had flood insurance, but apparently at the last renewal, they dropped my flood. And now they have a $100,000 loss with no coverage.
Well, I can tell you from selling property, it seems to me that a lot of individuals will kind of just go for price. They're looking for the least expensive just initially with the intention of revisiting this down the road and adjusting it out or whatever. So two questions I have is that the smartest way to go? And what if you're buying, there's a lot of new construction in the area, right? So what if you're buying a newer or say it is a completely renovated house? Is it wise to maybe go that route, and because the likelihood of something happening isn't really there?
It could catch on fire, right?
Yeah, true.
It could get hit by lightning.
Oh, you said that? We just had a listing last Friday. I got a picture. There is a hole inside the house coming through the living room that looks like, the devil came into the house. It was literally hit by lightning.
I can't tell you how many times we have claims that are in litigation, hurricane claim. We've been fighting with the insurance company for years. And then you call up the attorney, hey, I spoke with the insured. This is a true story. I spoke with the insured, lightning hit the house. I think our claim is done, right? Because now you end up having a total loss. So, or
is
how
lightning
often,
an act of God?
It's act of God, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, hurricanes, lightning, flood, all that's act of God. And so theoretically, it doesn't affect your rating. Is really why that's important, right?
Okay.
Because you're not the risk,
right? Okay,
This is a risk that is not unique to your property, and that's really the way you think of act of God. So, as far as you get what you pay for, and when you have a new construction, theoretically your rating should be less because it's a new home and it's up to all the current codes,
right? And
so how you start cutting coverage. Usually what I tell people is don't cut coverage. If you're looking for savings, increase deductible.
Okay.
Right? That's but you have a lot of policies, and if we're going to get into the weeds on it, the policies that scare me are the ones with caps on them. 10K water cap.
Oh,
Terrible.
okay.
Right? Think about what does a kitchen remodel cost?
Much more than 10K.
50?
Yeah.
75, right?
Right.
And that's on a lot of homes in town. A $35,000 kitchen is probably the entry point these days, right? 50 to 75 is probably the mean. And you have a 10K water cap. What does that do? Nothing. It's actually, in a way, not even worth making the claim at that point because you're capped at 10K, and then your premium's going to increase because that's not an act of God.
Right.
And so I would tell folks shy away from that 10K limited water endorsement in most policies.
Gosh, you're making me think I got to go home this weekend and pull out all my policies and take a look at what's going on.
Your agent should be telling you these things too. Like, hey, this has
not that I'm not coming down on the agents, but I just think it's a very glossed over conversation.
Because everyone focuses on price, not what they're getting.
And the ultimate cover, like a number right there, but not what's in that number.
It's very true. And the rates are significantly increasing. There's a lot of debate out there why they're increasing, right? People tend to gloss over the fact that we've been now hit with how many hurricanes since 2016?
Yeah, many
7.
More than before. Yeah,
I think it was 7 or 8, right? And so that's a real driver for it.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you have shenanigans in the industry where probably just saw the story with the CEO of Slide and his wife is the COO, and they made what, $40-50 million in 1 year from policies that they took out from Citizens, right? So these are Citizens insured policies. The CEO of Citizens makes what, $600,000 a year or so, I think.
I read 750 at one point, but whatever. Yeah,
less than $1 million.
It's more.
And so you have this company that goes in and cherry picks files from Citizens and has a fraction of the policies that Citizens has, and yet somehow they make $40 million. And that's before they do their IPO, right? They're going to do a public offering here in the coming weeks where they're going to make additional money. So there's a lot of turmoil in the industry.
So the question there, we've had 11 or 13 or so different companies come into the state this year to help ease the pain, so to speak. But what do you think about? I mean, are those companies here for maybe a short time to just grab a few and then we're out of the picture?
I think there's some companies that have been in the state for a very long time, and those should be the ones that are getting preferential treatment, right? And I am worried about some of these startup companies that are part of this rinse and repeat cycle of, one of the things I did when I was Department of Insurance, or what I did was insurer rehab and liquidation. So I was in the division that liquidated insolvent insurance companies.
Okay.
So that's where I got my start. And so it kind of hits with me. And, and some of the carriers, local carriers, have expressed some concern that, hey, we've been here, and now these new companies are coming in and they're getting these favorable policies from Citizens, but we've been here. And so I do have concerns there. They seem to be the rinse and repeat players, especially when you have somebody now making a $40 million husband and wife team.
Yeah, there's a problem there,
CEO and COO. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it.
Yeah,
it's out there.
When I was just up at the legislature sessions up in Washington, I sat in on some insurance meetings, which was very frustrating. It seemed to me like it's the same thing over and over. Just we're trying to make this work. Nobody's making any money.
Right.
Nobody in the insurance industry is making any money. That was the coverall, and we've got to figure it out. How can the insurance companies make money and still do the coverage? And we're still trying to work with the mortgage companies because they have demands, and we don't know. I mean, it just was left flat like that.
And there's some things that are glossed over, right? It's blame the plaintiff's lawyer, right? Blame the lawyer.
Well, yeah.
And ultimately, my answer to that is simple. If it's a claim that should not be paid, or it's a fraudulent claim, litigate it to a jury trial. If it's fraudulent, you're going to win, insurance company, right? You're going to get your attorney's fees under a proposal for settlement, and you can litigate those bad actors out of existence, right? Or they just won't do it again. So there's some I hear the media hype and the arguments, but the reality is there were seven hurricanes.
Yeah.
In a very short amount of time.
Right.
Where
So
we
it was
went through
painful.
a dry run. There was no hurricanes for many, many years. And so that's kind of the 30,000 foot, these are the issues we have in
what are
our
we gonna do?
industry. Now, for some practical advice, right? After a loss, before a loss, document your property, right? One of the things that I've always said, I don't understand why the legislature doesn't enact this. I'm a proponent of home inspections prior to binding coverage with a carrier. It's not mandated. I think it should be. Just like when you buy a house, the mortgage company sends out a home inspector, $300, you get a home inspection or whatever it costs.
Yeah, but don't they, I mean, the insurance companies, from my experience, when you get insurance, you bind it, you close on your house, and then they come out and inspect and threaten to cut you off if you don't do whatever it was that they want done.
And which puts a
Counterproductive to the whole thing.
And it puts the insured, it puts the consumer, which our legislators are up there to protect us theoretically, right?
Yes.
And so it would be you're insured with the carrier, and then you go and you switch for that premium, right? That attractive premium, and then they cancel you,
Right.
Because they didn't do their due diligence, right?
And does that
before
have
selling
any
you.
effect on the insured when you're canceled like that?
It does, because now where are you going to go get coverage? Now you have
Because
to
it shows
scramble.
on some record that you were canceled? Or
Well,
what is it?
yes, it
Okay.
shows that you were denied coverage, and also you can't go back to the carrier that you were with. And so theoretically, you could have stayed with that carrier, renewed with that carrier, gone to a new one. You go to a new one because of this premium, and then they cancel you. And now
you've got a real
what's your
problem.
option?
Yeah.
Right? And worse, what I see is during a claim, folks get upset with their carrier, or they get canceled by the carrier, worse, right? And they go to a new carrier writes the coverage, right? And then they come back and say, well, your roof was damaged by that hurricane. You need to replace the roof or we're not going to give you coverage. Meanwhile, they're in a dispute with the insurance company that didn't
so
pay
that-
for the roof,
yeah,
right?
right.
And so my recommendation, if we're trying to give some practical advice to our viewers, is if you have a claim, stay with your insurance company.
Oh, wow.
Don't
Okay.
change insurance companies
That's good
midstream.
advice. Yeah.
Right?
What about the
Bef-
people that are trying to go bare? You know, they're just like, I'm not dealing with this. These
Sure.
are way too high. It's ridiculous, especially on beachside. I have a lot of friends that are doing
Those
this.
are they
Yeah.
don't have a mortgage, right?
Right, sure.
So
yes.
mortgage
right.
always is going to require it to be insured.
Yeah.
I mean,
What can you say? It's a choice.
ask me if I have windstorm coverage on some of my properties.
Do you? No? Yeah.
I have dropped wind on a number of my
Oh,
properties.
okay. Yeah.
Because
And that's-
on commercial properties,
Okay.
not on my house, right? Because my house is beachside and we have those beautiful oak trees that
Right.
sway every hurricane. But on a commercial property, particularly condos, right? When you do the math on, and I'm not advocating to go bare, right?
Okay.
But I think you have to be knowledgeable about what you're doing and make an informed decision.
And know if your
And-
roof blows off.
In my circumstance, I have a commercial property that's just a warehouse, right? There's no interior walls, there's nothing, and the deductible is $50,000 and the premium's $12,000 a year for wind. I have all the other insurance, but just for the wind, it's like $12,000 a year, $50,000 deductible, and the roof's $100,000. So even if the roof blows off, it's $100,000. The deductible is $50. I'm going to get $50, but my premium's $12. So every 4 years, I could pay for a new roof.
Yeah.
I know.
so do the math. Yeah.
Right.
Do the math.
But those are limited.
Yes.
Really, my recommendation and what would apply to everybody is certainly before the hurricane, document your property. Juries expect everyone to have this in their hand constantly.
Right. So
right?
videotape your property all the way through.
Walk around and do a video.
Yeah.
Walk around, do a video. If you can get up on the roof, great. If not, have a annual roof inspection or some sort of maintenance, especially if you're a commercial property owner. Have your roof inspected by your roofer buddy once a
So
year.
you have something.
So you have some paper,
Are
right?
you looking for someone to say you have a shelf life?
You know, that wouldn't hurt,
Yeah.
right? But yes, some sort of evidence, because a lot of times insurance companies say, well, there's pre-existing damage, that this isn't as a cause of the loss.
Okay.
And now what do you have to refute? Their expert, their engineer comes in and says, well, that water stain was there. It looks old to me.
Yeah.
Now you're there debating like, no, it wasn't there.
We went through one of those one time, and it was arduous to go through when you don't have proof.
If our elected officials are watching this right now, my recommendation would be require a home inspection by an independent third party prior to binding coverage, right? And then that sets your
basis.
Your baseline.
Yeah.
There's Chubb is the gold standard of insurance companies, right? I have a golden rule, and many attorneys do. Before I file a suit against Chubb, I reach out to them and I try to resolve it. And the vast majority of times, we do. It's a premium product. It's not Cadillac, it's Rolls-Royce Bentley coverage. But Chubb will, their signature line, they will give you a book of your house with photos of that house, right? And really what it is here are pictures of your house. And so this is what, if we have a dispute, we can go back to this. They make it look much prettier, and that's not what it is. But hey, I respect them for doing that. They send somebody to inspect the house annually. You have photo documented of what it is. We can do that as consumers on a small scale. Walk through with your iPhone. Take pictures, right? If something's in good condition.
Especially right now, you guys, we're starting a hurricane season. It's the perfect time of year to do it. Start of summer.
Yes.
Right?
When you're
like your
stockpiling your hurricane supplies, walk through your house and video the floors, the ceiling, right? No water stains. And just walk through. It's a 5-minute video to do that. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. It's such a simple thing, right?
The other thing is, if your house gets hit by hail, right? Video the hail coming down. Video during the hurricane, right?
I'm having visions.
If you're riding out the hurricane, take video of it.
Yeah.
Right? We have for some juicy stories, right? Everybody likes to hear these things. We have a claim right now where the insurance company's meteorologist said no hail fell at this house. Guess what we have?
Video of hail.
We have video of hail.
Yeah.
Right? And we're like, look, and the attorney's beside himself, like, well, why didn't they provide it? And we're like, they did provide this to your insurance adjuster. And not only that, they provided invoices because their cars were in the driveway. And Dent Wizard or Mr. Dent or whatever went out there and did dent removal in their driveway. So we have the cars both dented up with hail. And the insurance company said, yeah, no, meteorologist in what, California or Texas said there was no hail at this guy's house.
Yeah, I mean, and plus they can be wrong. Have you ever noticed that? I mean, it's going to rain today, and then it's sunshiny all day.
Well, they could be wrong, or worse than that, they could be disingenuous. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not saying it's one side or the other.
Yeah.
There's bad actors on both sides of the aisle.
Let's talk about, a couple years ago, there was a big, swing through the neighborhoods when we did have a bunch of hail, and you saw roofs with the yellow circles all over them. The guys came by, and everybody's getting a free roof. Yeah.
That's a hot button, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
And is that part of the reason why we've seen, well, it probably is, but the escalation.
I think what you have there, look, I'm a lawyer. In my view, there are two licenses that can pursue insurance claims for insureds. Public adjusters, they're licensed, right? And attorneys. Nobody else can give insurance information. So when roofers go through neighborhoods and identify hail damage, there's nothing wrong with that. They're a roofer. And you truly
could have hail damage.
Right? They're not allowed to say, hey, I'll do your claim for you. Right?
Yeah. Or sign what is it?
Sign the assignment of benefits. Sure. And I was on the AOB squad when I was a defense attorney, the anti-AOB squad. I find fault with lack of enforcement of laws on books to counteract some of that AOB. Again, if our elected officials are watching, I have a lot of turndowns, unfortunately, but we get a lot of calls from folks who signed some sort of emergency services form that's non-specific on price. The insurance company then denies the claim, and then they get sued. right? We have one right now that, he gets a $45,000 bill in the mail and says, and is getting sued in South Florida, because that's where the company's from. And so I think there should be protection if our legislators are listening. I think there should be protection for consumers that in a state of emergency, or when there is an insurance claim and somebody is under duress because their house is flooded, their pipe burst, whatever has happened, that those contracts, certainly they can enter into contracts for some sort of mitigation, and they have to mitigate. But I do think that a jurisdiction, if there's going to be a lawsuit against the homeowner, it should be where the property is located, not in South Florida. B, there should be a cap on that, because if a mitigation contractor is getting in there and racks up a $45,000 bill, maybe when he's $5,000 or $10,000 deep, they can say, okay, we're going to stop here. This is what it's going to be to proceed.
Right.
I understand why you can't necessarily price it from the moment that the water is flowing.
Right.
I get that. But at some point, we need to stop the bleeding on these poor insureds.
Well, and a lot of those, they were coming in, and we know the roof was probably a $20,000 roof at that time, but it became a $55,000 roof.
Yeah, I've never supported the assignment of benefits.
Yeah.
If you remember the Ormond Heritage,
Yes.
I was the attorney.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
I was the attorney for Ormond Heritage that got him out of the assignment of benefit.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so
Yeah.
we didn't talk about that before,
No,
but
yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up
Yeah.
Ormond Heritage. Ormond Heritage is really what got my firm a lot of press back in, I guess that was Hurricane Matthew, 2016, and they hired me probably around 2017, 2018. And, I remember.
How long did that mess take to?
It's funny you say that. If you go back to the News Journal article on it, it's a great story. I have it saved. The running joke when I settled the case with the insurance company was, are we going to have a release signed, or will my second son be born? And literally, we were at the hospital, my wife and I had my laptop at Advent here, and the release came an hour and a half before my son was born.
Oh, wow.
And that's in the News Journal. So
Wow.
kind of a sweet story, right?
Wow, that's crazy.
But yeah, so that took from the time they hired me about 10 months, 10 months. Now, it had been going for a while before.
Before that, yeah.
What happened there, they unseated the board that was there. They recalled them, got a new board, hired my firm. And then I challenged the assignment of benefits and contemporaneously settled with the insurance company. And
everything proceeds from there.
And then they were able to fix the property,
Yeah.
and their real estate values recovered.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because it was painful there for
It was
a minute.
Yeah, they couldn't sell, they couldn't finance, they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was a mess.
Yeah. Well, this is, we could go on.
I could talk for hours and hours.
We're going to have on the podcast every way that somebody can reach you.
Okay.
So again, just to reiterate your expertise and where,
Yeah, we didn't
let's
we
go
didn't
there.
touch on any of the other
let's
stuff.
Go there. Yeah, I know, but
we could go for hours and hours
Yeah.
here, and have me back anytime you want. But the firm's specialty obviously is property insurance. I say claims and litigation because oftentimes we do a claim without actually having to file suit. Right? So it's claims and litigation, personal injury, of course, car accidents, wrongful death, all of these matters, and construction litigation. And really there I say construction negligence. Contractor puts a bad roof on your house, it leaks inside the house. And so
I wish we had like 2 more hours because I have got so much on that, but we need to do a second part 2 or something.
We could do it on, I get a lot of questions about that because
Yeah.
a lot of those AOB contractors did put turn and burn roofs on, and they have insurance for that.
Yeah.
So if they put a roof on and damage, it leaks and damages your house, they have insurance for that.
We had one where, I done whatever the tar product was that they used underneath, everything was just sliding right off of it in this Florida heat, and so that was a whole,
What I tell people is this, especially former clients, friends, if you have a legal issue, reach out to us.
It's just easier, right?
Just ask us. And even if I don't do it, I'm going to make sure I put you I
the
connect
right
you with
place.
an attorney who is going to give you, be fair to you, the most efficient resolution possible, financially and as a function of time and your money. And
just the emotional, you know what, I'm just so, nobody wants to deal with it anymore. Put it in the hands of somebody who does it for a living. You know what I mean? It's just so much easier.
That's it. And so
take it off your plate.
And whether it's me or you have a friend who's an attorney, just ask. And we probably decline more files than we take on, but we can put people on the right path, right? And if my firm doesn't handle it, but we know a firm in town that's reputable, we'll connect you with that firm.
Now, did I hear, are you a classic car guy?
I am.
You are? Okay.
Yes.
I have to introduce you to my husband.
Okay.
I mean, he is all up, that's his deal. So
Yeah.
when I heard that, I was like, oh, this
Before
is...
having the body shop or the motel, my dad had a body shop up in the Northeast and outside of Providence, Rhode Island. And my parents are from Italy, and
yeah, that's his dream, is to just like run a garage. You know what I mean? Just like the old-fashioned kind where people just come up with their cars and he redoes everything and builds the engine out and the whole deal.
If any of your viewers reach out to me, not during Jeep Beach, not during Rolex, right? So
otherwise, good to go. Yeah,
that's it.
Well, thanks for your time. I really appreciate you coming in. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
And I think we are going to do a part 2. We got to get into the construction part 2.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Daytona Beach Real Estate Insider. We hope you found today's episode helpful. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an update. And don't forget to follow us on social media for the latest news and tips. Until next time, happy house hunting.